agree with Alan Greenspan, we ought to just eliminate the debt ceiling. Oh, absolutely, we do.
The ability of almost every working American to access more credit than they should have been able to masked the underlying fact that lower and middle class incomes were not rising.
That's not a tenable strategy. Isn't now the time to eliminate it? Oh, it would have been time a long time ago to eliminate it.
Let's put aside terrorism. Let's talk only about our own homegrown animals that are patrolling America right now. So it goes down to the simplest thing. Be prepared, be vigilant.
Good morning, everyone. It's James Walton with I Am Liberty. Good evening, everyone. It's James Walton with I Am Liberty. Good afternoon, everyone. I have no idea when you'll get this podcast, so it's almost ludicrous for me to greet you at some particular time. That's the beauty of the podcast. You can listen to it whenever you want. For me, it's morning. I'm crossing the Belvedere Bridge. The sun is coming up to the right of me. It's a little hazy over the river because it's warm out. I'm crossing the thunderous James River, which for this time of the year is pretty docile and has got my mind a little hooked on smallmouth bass right now. Yeah, I'm coming by. I see the dams. I see the slow running water, and I know who's waiting behind those big boulders. I know who's hiding right now between those big boulders is Mr. Smallmouth. Mr. Smallmouth is down there, and he's looking around for crayfish and sculpin and minnows. And I would so much rather be headed down into that water right now than to work. And part of me feels like I should cherish these moments with my job more because they're coming to a close. They are coming to a close. It's good. We're only months away from yours truly taking on a new lifestyle. We're 2 months away exactly. A little less than now. A little less than 60 days away from James Walton reaching a new level. Leveling up. Super Saiyan level 2 is coming. Alright, I'm about to push through. I'm about to ascend yet again. I think I'm at level 2. I can't remember. I had a whole analogy about this Dragonball Z Super Saiyan level up. The Kaioken is like when you get that first girl that you really fall in love with, you hit the Kaioken. If you don't know Dragon Ball Z, you may want to fast forward because I'm going to go into this right now because I can't talk about the election and I really don't even feel like talking about my book that's out just yet. But when you meet that first love, not the one that you marry, but the first love, that's when you hit the Kaioken attack. That's when you learn the Kaioken attack. And the Kaioken increases your strength, of course. It increases your power and your focus and all that. It makes you something special. And then, when you fall in love with the one, you meet that one and you fall in love and you're like, okay, whoa, this is different. This is the one I think I'm going to marry. Well, that's when you do Kaioken times 10, right? That's when you learn the Kaioken times 10. So you take the power of the Kaioken in your first love and you multiply it by 10 and you realize this is something. This is something special. Then, when you are at that altar and you see that woman more beautiful than any woman you've ever seen in your whole life coming down the aisle, it's so vivid to me I could see my wife as clear as day coming down that aisle. Breathtaking. Still, to this day, breathtaking. Just the thought of it. And when she comes down that aisle and puts her hands in your hands and whoever the hell's there starts talking, whether it's a priest or a magistrate or whatever, as the ceremony begins, that's when you go Super Saiyan. I'm giving you the stages of manhood by Saiyan power level. Is that okay? Can we do that? I want to have some fun this morning, all right? I slept probably 2 hours last night, and yeah. If I don't start off in a good mood, then maybe I won't have 60 days of work left. I might be at home today. If you get my drift. So, the day of the wedding, the day of the marriage. The day that you realize you're now the husband. You have this woman who you must protect and who you must care for and who you must put above all else. Right? That's the day you go super. That's the day you go Super Saiyan. The hair turns gold, the eyes turn that crazy color green, and now you're Super Saiyan. Right? And what happens the day that she brings the little onesie to your job? What happens the day that she brings the test, the little birth control, or the birth test, the little, what is it, pregnancy test? She brings the pregnancy test out of the bathroom, and it's positive. Well, then you're an Ascended Saiyan. At that moment, you become an Ascended Saiyan, right? Like the Saiyans that first fought Cell. An Ascended Saiyan. Not quite Super Saiyan level 2 yet, but you become an Ascended Saiyan. And then that moment in life, right? That moment in manhood when everything changes. You know, it's big. It's huge when you get married. And a lot does change, especially if you're you know, a thoughtful person. But nothing changes you like when the doctor hands you that baby. Because you're with that baby. You see the baby on the on the screens every month, you know, and they take the pictures, they find out the sex, you listen to the heartbeat, and you're like, it's in there. Oh, I know it's in there, and I know it's coming out. And I know I have a child. But you don't really know you have a child until that baby is in your arms. That baby's in your arms, and you see what it is, and you're like, oh, God. This thing can't even see, it can't talk, it can't walk, it can't feed. If it's left to its own devices, it will expire. Rapidly. And you look at this thing and you realize that, okay, now I get it. Now I get it. There's not enough pain in the world that would keep me from protecting this baby. Now I get it. Now I understand. And that's when the electricity starts pumping. And that's when you elevate to Super Saiyan level 2. Right? At that moment, when the child is born and you hold that child in your arms, you elevate to Super Saiyan level 2. That's it. That is the moment. So now what? What happens beyond that? Beyond that is the business, right? It's the self-actualization. That's what is next. And I guess that's what I'm trying to break through. I'm trying to break through to Super Saiyan level 3 here. Right? Super Saiyan 1 comes in response to a need. Sort of the same thing when you level up to Super Saiyan level 2, but when Goku leveled up to Super Saiyan level 3, he did so in the afterlife. And he did so through hard work and training. Right? It wasn't a situation where he had to reach this level to defeat an opponent. Am I going too deep? I don't even care if I am. Follow my thought. So, when he fought Frieza and turned Super Saiyan for the first time, the power came in response to a need, not a desire. The same thing with Gohan when he first eclipsed Super Saiyan level 2. Right? He had to turn Super Saiyan level 2. He had to ascend in order to defeat Cell. He wasn't strong enough. He couldn't defeat Cell without the ascension. So, but then, Goku comes back from the afterlife and is showing Majin Buu the different stages of Super Saiyan. And at that point, he basically shows off to the world that in his spare time, he learned how to turn into Super Saiyan level 3. He learned how to ascend to level 3, which is the long hair, the furrow, the extended brow ridge, you know, the almost Cro-Magnon look, the almost Neanderthal look, actually. So, the reason this lines up with my train of thought is because when you're married, the power has to come in response to a need, right? I'm a husband. I have to be stronger, smarter, faster, work more, make more money. Same thing with a child. Power comes in response to a need, right? So you level up again. But then when you reach the self-actualization phase, right? When you start to realize that I can push this thing a little further. I don't necessarily have to, though. I don't necessarily have to push this thing further, but I think I can push this machine a little further. At that point, that's when you start shooting for Super Saiyan level 3. And that's where I'm at. I'm months away from Super Saiyan level 3. What's that mean? That means that I'm months away from digging deeper into my own business. I'm months away from having more time for this show, having more time to write my own books, having more time to do incredible writing jobs for clients. I just want you to understand what you're capable of, right? If you follow the path of passion. Right now, on my kitchen table, there are 3 antelope skins, right? 3 antelope hides on my kitchen table. I know some people out there probably terrified at the thought. But one of the jobs that I'm working on right now is crafting a shelter out of these 3 animal hides, a traditional teepee-style shelter. I'm going to get to keep those, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. But the wonderful thing about it is, how much cooler is that than entering information into a warehouse management system? You understand? The likelihood that you will ever back into a job that offers you the opportunity to get paid a good amount of money. You know, this is a project that's going to probably net me about close to $400. Plus the 3 antelope skins, which somewhere in the ballpark of $220. Now, the likelihood that you're ever going to back into a job that gives you those type of opportunities are so slim. They're just so slim. Today, this day and age, we have the ability to make our own jobs and make our own livings. This doesn't come without tremendous work. In order for me to get here, I had to work, and I had to do a podcast for 7 people. You know, where 7 people were listening for how long? For how many years did I go with no audience whatsoever? Just seeing the turnaround. But it's capable. It's possible. It's something that's possible, and it's out there, and I want to be an example for you guys. And maybe I'll fall on my face, maybe I'll be successful, but either way, I'm taking the risk, and I'm enjoying myself while I'm doing it. And that's what's coming. All right? There's your monologue. There's your intro. Let's get on to the show. The threats of a terrorist event are already out there. They've been ginned up for Monday, the day before the election, as though that could sway the election in some way. If anything, it would sway it in Trump's direction, I would guess, right? People scared, people nervous about this influx of radical Islamists. I don't so much want to worry about Monday. What I want you to do this Sunday, right? I think I'll get this podcast to you Sunday morning. You probably won't hear it Sunday, so it may not help you. But for those of you who hear it Sunday or Monday, take the time, put together the get home bag. Okay, that's what you need to have for Wednesday. All right, the get home bag, right? The travel bag, the resource bag for your vehicle. The survival cache for your vehicle is what you need to have for Wednesday. See, I'm speaking to a national audience, even a worldwide audience, as cool as that is. And though it may not be a giant audience, there's still people out there who can benefit from this knowledge. Tuesday, the election will go late, right? It'll go well into the evening. We will get the results, late in the night. And what comes from that is, what comes from that really is what comes from that. what does it mean? If one wins, what does that mean? If one means, what does that mean? What we do know is there are incredible levels of disenfranchisement on either side. I read a terrifying article today about the 3%ers, about the militiamen across the nation who are fully prepared for civil unrest, the civil unrest that may follow, right? And they're making statements like, we're not going to fire the first shot, but we'll definitely bring our guns, the type of stuff. Okay, and to the people who are in the militias, to the people who are in that mindset, okay, that's where they're at mentally. But to the vast majority of people who are trying to get home after work and trying to get done with the day, whether they're right or wrong, you probably fall into that category. More of my listeners fall into that category than fall into the Wednesday morning I'm polishing up the 308 and going out. I'm polishing up the weapons and going out to stand at a federal building. On the other side, if a Donald Trump wins, we could see some serious urban action. Right, we could see some serious action within the cities. People who God only knows what type of excuse they would come up with. But I think it's safe to say that this is kind of like a championship fight. Or like a championship game, rather. A city or two will definitely burn, despite the outcome. So the importance of that get-home bag, right, that survival cash in your car, is so that you can do just that Wednesday afternoon despite what happens. Because worst case scenario, you make it to work early, right? The rabble-rousers maybe have fallen asleep. Maybe they've fallen asleep. They don't have the energy to go out there first thing in the morning and damage and destroy. Maybe the action hits a crescendo around 12 or around 10 a.m., and all of a sudden you realize that your city's in an uproar, that your railroad line is impassable, that your whatever it is, your certain way home has become obstructed, and maybe you can't get a vehicle through there. Well, now we have issues. Right? Or maybe we find out that just getting home isn't going to happen the traditional way. Or maybe you're going to have to overnight at the job. These are things you can prepare for knowing the climate of the nation. Because there is a very real climate within this nation right now. We're at a boiling point on both sides of the ball. Reading that 3%er article, reading that article about the militiamen who are ready to do exactly what the Black Lives Matter crew is about to do. That's a terrifying clash of polar opposites that can result in anarchy in a city. Remember, there are only so many police in a city. There are only so many cops around that can help in a situation like that. If you have a massive turnout of militiamen and a massive turnout of the Black Lives Matter group, and we talk about a serious civil war-like altercation, there's only so much the police can do in a situation like that. And once the police are out of the picture, sure, outside help can be called in by the government. But what you always have to remember is there's always time. There's always some amount of time that it's going to take for them to get there. And if it's a direct threat to you, you got to have another option. Right? So the get-home bag, whether you're stranded, whether you need a new idea to get home, whatever it is, you pack your bag based on your needs. We're heading into colder temperatures. You want to make sure that bag has gloves and hats and scarves, maybe some hand warmers, feet warmers. You could find yourself overnighting it on a walk home. You could find yourself evacuated from your building. Maybe you have to sleep in the car that night. Nobody knows what's going to go down, but I think the vast majority of us know something is going down Wednesday. Right? Or maybe late or early in the Wednesday morning, and maybe to crop back up again later Wednesday. And I don't want to see people stuck in bad situations and at their job because of it. So very important that you nurse this bag, right? Have 3 meals in there, small meals. A day track bar is a good option. canned good, granola bar, that thing. Get yourself some sort of communication if it's possible. Is it possible that you work close enough to home that your walkie-talkies can reach? Do you have a high-quality set of comms that can reach a distance like from your house to your job? Probably not. Another big one, make sure you have something that can recharge your phone. Go out and buy a power source for your phone that's portable, that's rechargeable. Charge that thing to the max Tuesday night, throw it in the bag Wednesday. You can't imagine if the only way you can contact home or contact help is through this cell phone that's dead. And you know that with that thing on, you've got the power of Odin, but without it, you're in a bad situation. So food, clothing, right? Maybe a couple bottles of water. Make sure you have some warm stuff. Communications is huge. Now, depending on how far you want to go with this thing, you can lock your gun. As far as I know in Virginia, and I think this is pretty much, I don't know. I don't know the laws in your state, and I'm not going to lend myself to trying to figure that out. What I know about my state is that I can take my gun, I can zip tie that gun, and I can, zip tie the case for that gun, and I can put that gun in my trunk. And you better believe that Wednesday I will have a gun in my trunk. And that's just a smart thing. We don't know what's coming. Protection, protection, protection. Some mace in your bag. Something along those lines. We don't want to kill anybody. Nobody wants to kill another human being. It's the worst thing that could ever happen. So if you can mace and run, then that's what we do. Entertainment in the bag is not a bad idea. A book. I'll tell you what's a really cool idea if you have the means, and that's a journal. You could be documenting one of the craziest days in American history. We don't know. There will be violence, there will be death Wednesday. I can promise you this. Maybe in a small corner of a small part of a small town, or it may be in a giant city somewhere in America. Somebody out there listening could very likely be affected, and that's what I'm getting at. So, that being said, I think it's very important that we get this get home bag put together and ready to go for Wednesday. What else? A fire starter? Fire starter, maybe I'd throw one in there. Depending on where you are in the country, it could be more important. Me particularly, I may not have one. Maps a very important one. If you have a local map, I would definitely recommend a local map. Definitely would recommend a local map. That way you can say to yourself, okay, this makes sense. This road's blocked. Let me go find an alternate route, even if it's not a car route. Very important. And the last thing I would say is a light source. Let's make sure we have a light source. Some powerful flashlight, something along those lines that can be used. Okay, very important. These are very important things. The day will be a day that will live in infamy in this nation. Whether it goes well or not, it's going to be a nerve-wracking thing. Be prepared. Had a drink and tried to talk over a live band, so that's why my voice is a little goofy right now. It's a little raspy. But I wanted to talk about the single life, the myth of the wonderful single life in America. I wanted to talk about it. I really do. I want to get into that. What have we covered on this show thus far? God, it's an amazing thing. Do you know a show? I mean, is there a show out there that has the depth and the breadth of I Am Liberty? I'm not tooting my own horn, but I am, because no one else will. It's just one of those things, you know. Is it dynamic? I don't know what it is. I'm a guy with many an interest, okay? And I take a lot away from life when I look at it. And at this brewery, you know, I had a delicious, as black as the darkest night milk stout, which is my favorite beer there is. And I'm sipping on it and talking to my coworkers, people I really have grown to love professionally. You know, people I've really grown to love professionally. You know, you want to see the best happen to them. That's really what you want to see. And this move onto freelance writing and all that, it will be hard to leave these people behind. But some of them I'm leaving with great opportunities, you know, which is very important. But I'm looking around, right, laughing and joking. And the majority of the people in my party are with someone, married, dating, that whole thing. And I'm looking around the room at these people who are either in flux, single, or attempting to create a situation where they can either trick their man into marrying them or talking to a friend of mine, and he's telling me how much he hates it. Right, we're walking out of the bathroom and he's telling me this I hate this, James. I hate it. I hate this. I hate this coming out and this looking around and this trying to find and hoping that I somehow trick fate into rushing me into the woman of my dreams and her noticing me and her appreciating what she sees long enough that I can steal her away for a date, and hopefully that date works. And if that date doesn't work, then maybe I go back again. And the myth of the single life, folks, is that it's all a good time. It's all go out, get hammered, take someone beautiful home, have sex all over the apartment, go your separate ways the next day with both parties in total agreement, and do it all over the next weekend. I've seen so many people out there. It looked like a breeding ground. I saw so many people out there, sad people who wanted to be at home. You know, that's the thing. People who wanted to be at home with children. People that wanted to be at home with their husbands, snuggled up watching a movie, eating popcorn. I seen the looks in men and women's eyes. And this is what gives me hope. I seen the look in their eyes, right? And the look in their eyes told me, they were just saying, all they were saying was, God, someone save me. Someone save me from this madness where I'm out here drinking beer every goddamn week. I'm drinking. Every weekend I got to come to a place like this and hope to find a man or hope to find a woman. And maybe at the very rare instance I run into that person. That when we clasp hands or when we touch eye to eye, right? When we exchange glances, I run into that person who changes my life forever. I run into that person who I'm going to die with, or who's going to die with me. I run into that person who is my partner for life, who is my greatest love. Who we have children or we don't have children, or we have pets and we have whatever we have things. We share things. We fight. We hate each other. We love each other. We make love. And in the off chance that happens, I'm going to buy another godforsaken beer and look around the room and look away when she looks at me. You know, a lot of our issues today, people are they can't handle rejection, man. They can't handle it. You know, it's a couple times of rejection and I'm going home and I'm going to get on the telephone, I'm going to look at internet porn, and that's going to be the end of my night. A couple times of rejection and I'm going to call the ex, you know, the destructive ex who set my car on fire. A couple of rejections and I'm going to the strip club to pay my way into a good time. It's the rejection, man. The men can't take a rejection like they used to. You know, you've got to be like a little terrier. You've got to be tugging at the pant leg almost constantly anymore. Because we're all so filled up with self-esteem. We all think we're so self-important and so beautiful. How beautiful I am. He has no right to talk to me. But it's a proving ground, man. And you look out there and you see it. It's God. It's a nightmare scenario for a guy like me. You know, I go out to a place like that, I have a drink with some people who I like spending my time with, and then after that, it's just, let me get out of this place. This place is a nightmare. You know what I mean? It's sad to watch. It really is. It's a sad thing to watch, but it's not their fault. You know, people don't meet the ones they're supposed to meet sometimes. That's life. You know, life is a roll of the dice. You can't forget that. You know, sometimes you make bad decisions, you lose the one that meant everything. That's another scary scenario. How you doing, man?
I know. Was one right here? Yeah, because this is out there. 35. 30. Is it 30? Yeah.
Appreciate it. Have a good night. Yeah, but sometimes, sorry, I had to pay I had to pay the good old tolls to Richmond City. Anyhow, sometimes poor decisions, you lose the one. You lose the one that you never knew was the one until she was gone, right? She ran out, she left. She couldn't take any more of your shit. She said goodbye. And you're left to carry that burden for life. You have to carry that burden. Then some men have the one right in front of them the whole time. They know they have the one, but they're so terrified. They're so terrified to be the guy that everyone looks at. Old Tommy, he's going to get married. You know that's going to go up in flames. Oh, he's going to have kids now. He's going to be a shitty dad. You know that. And it's these insecurities that keep us from our happiness. And I watch it, a room, the insecurity was so palpable, right? You look up at someone, they look away. You know, I'm married, you know, I don't got nothing, you know, nothing to prove. I'm not going home with anybody. I don't want to go home. I don't even want to know people. You know, one of the most beautiful things about James Walton going to the bar, I go to a bar, nobody knows me. There is 0% chance of me running into anybody I know. And that's a beautiful thing in and of itself. To a guy like me, you got to understand, I know a lot of people. I work with a lot of people. I see a lot of people. I like to interact with people. I don't have an issue with it. But when the time comes for introspection and a good milk stout, the last thing you want to do is be interrupted by someone you went to high school. Hey, how you been? How's the kids? Tell me about stuff I don't care about, but I'm going to feign like I care about it. No, I don't want it. I don't want it. I'm here with this group. This is the group I want to talk to. I'm going to make them laugh a little bit. We're going to have a good time. Then I'm going to leave. I'm going to go home to my beautiful wife, my wonderful children, my pit bulls. We're going to sit around the couch, watch bullshit television, and pass out. It's Saturday night. Love it. I don't want anything else. And I see people who want the same thing, man. They're stuck in this cycle. It's like watching them in a washing machine. It's like a boot in the dryer. And they're stuck, man. They're stuck. Sipping IPA and looking at each other. But scared to look at each other. They're scared to wonder what could happen if they longed into each other's eyes. Scared to find out that he's actually a monster. He's got a gambling problem. He can't stop drinking. She's got issues. She's obsessive compulsive. You don't know. She's had problems with her father, so now she takes them out on other men. You never know what's lurking beneath. I will tell the folks out there, the young folks, who are in the process, who are in this process, stuck in this cycle. And I don't even know if the young people listen to a show like this. I don't know. It's a lot of information to go in the head that I don't know that people who are concerned with booze and taking somebody home would be that wrapped up in a proactive show like mine. But I could be wrong. So to the 1% out there that's listening to this show, that's regretting what they did the night before, I want to tell you that there's no perfect person out there, first of all. You know, there's no perfect person out there. You're going to take on the insecurities and the issues of other people when you fall in love with them. You're going to take on these issues and these insecurities, and they're going to take on yours. You're not perfect, trust me. Again, there is no perfect person out there. There is none perfect, no, not one. And that's all part of it. And not only is that part of it, that's not a burden. Number one, it's a challenge. Number two, it's the magic of what love is all about, really. You know, the real battles of love are not fought or won over getting along, over being happy all the time. I'm always happy. I married my soulmate, and I'm always happy. We never fight. It's unbelievable. Yeah, sure. Yeah, he doesn't go bowling on Tuesdays either. I got news for you. No, marriage is about constant improvement. A good relationship is about constant improvement. It's about being around people who aren't afraid to tell you, hey man, you're fucking up. You need to do better. But we're a very insecure nation now. You know, participation trophies have made it this way. When I look around a bar like that, I see participation trophies. I see people who are, well, I'm here. Hello, I'm here. Somebody should want me. You know what I mean? That's not the situation. So to the young folks out there, listen. There's a good chance you don't find love. That's the scary thing of life. The scary thing of life is there's a good chance you don't fall in love. You don't have the dream relationship that folds into a marriage, that folds into parents, that folds into a long life of happiness. That's just the odds, man. It's just the odds. But I can tell you this much, too. Under the veil of the eyeliner and the mascara and the hairdo and the hat and the flannel shirt and the stupid Rugrats haircut, there are people who just want to snuggle up. They just want to have someone to come home to. They just want to have a person to come home to, kiss on the cheek, rub their back, joke about their butt, go to bed, rub their back while they fall asleep, watch crappy television and pass out. And pass out in the normalcy and the happiness therein. So as we sit on the doorstep of this election, remember that that's what's out there. That's what's out there. That's the underlying factor of America. Because from that, from every sprout of love that happens, right? There's a million seeds planted, but only some sprout. Right? How many seeds are planted, if you get the metaphor? And love sprouts from so few. But from those seeds sprouts the most powerful entity of all. That's the American family. That's the American family that's given us everything. You know, you hear people talk all the time about Americans, how they have it so good, you got it so good. You don't even know what poverty is in America. Have you ever been to Cambodia? Have you ever been to Rwanda? No, I haven't, and I'll never go. Because this nation was built by the American family, by the aspirations of the American father, by the inspiration that was given to the child by the American father and mother, and his ability to go out and create and invent and refine. And we sit in a nation, I sit in a brand new car, 2016, marveling at the life that I live, at the technologies, at the inexpensive trinkets, all at my fingertips. You can tell me the country was built on slavery. You can tell me it was all our things are from China. You can tell me that someone else did everything. All day long, you can tell me that someone else did it. Someone else did it. It wasn't America. It wasn't Americans. But the fact of the matter is, this country was built on the American family. That's it. And what do I mean when I say American family? No, I don't mean the white family. I mean the American family. I mean the people who are smart enough to take advantage of the freedoms that are allotted to them, the pursuit of happiness. That's what I mean. And it is from that we are gifted. We are gifted with this life. And here's a little bit of my gift. Comes running up to my car right now. Say hi.
Who is it?
This is the podcast.
Hi. Are you doing the podcast in the car?
Yes, I am. Have a good night, folks. I'm going to play with my son, Carter.